Amelia. I'm in 5th grade.
I'm Leilani, and I'm in 5th grade.
I'm Nina, and I'm in 5th grade.
Jasmine.
A bunch of people said history is boring, but when you get into it, there's a lot of stuff that no one tells you.
It makes me wonder, well, what about like my ancestors' history, and where were they in this story?
I did not feel like I was getting the whole story. Pretended that they didn't exist. Yeah, they didn't really talk at all about the Native Americans.
They didn't really teach about like other cultures. Yeah, that was kind of weird. Those were just people, they're like side characters, just throw them out and get away.
They were kind of trying to like block out all of the things that happened behind the good stuff, and that they were, I don't know, just like trying to hide it. I do because I just want to know both sides of the story.
They didn't even teach us about the history, which they told me that we are going to learn more about the Oregon Trail, but we actually weren't.
Kids that live in Oregon should know about their history.
To actually be the truth, and they're not telling the truth to me. It's not just to me, it's to everyone, and then people start believing that, and then when they start believing that, they end up being pretty racist.
No, they didn't teach us about it.
There was no mention of the treaties, I think, that were broken or not held up, and how many Native Americans died.
Angry.
I was really upset because the whole time it was as though nothing was wrong.
That it makes me very mad to think that they teach us and they try to make us remember it even if it's not all the way true. And it's like giving someone an M&M doesn't even have all the chocolate in it. It's just like a little speck of chocolate. It's just wrong.
Leaving out my history.
It makes me kind of feel like I was lied to a little bit and that I wasn't given the full truth.
It's really frustrating because we're here to learn. It doesn't really feel good when you're learning something that's not true. I would say that they probably should dig in more to what it's about and like check if the history is actually history.
I would probably make the mats more comfortable in the bedrooms because those really hurt.
If they're going to have a field trip like that, to make sure that they have both sides, and that students are educated in the actual history of what happened.
Make sure that they actually know what happened.
Taking over your home and then celebrating that day.
It kind of felt like it was wasted time.
So literally, it would be like someone burglarizing you, and then after that, everybody in the world was like, "Woo! Yeah, you got burglarized! Woo!" I would be very, very upset, and if I was a ghost, I would haunt them forever.
I kind of don't feel like I can really trust the people that are feeding me lies and telling me things that, yes, they did happen, but they're not 100% true.
It makes you angry. And someone's not being truthful to you and you can't trust them anymore.
It really annoys me that they had people do this exercise or do this game, as they put it, and they didn't actually know that the whole time, if they were doing this in real life, in the in the late 1800s and early 1900s, they would be doing that for a white person, and that they weren't allowed to have the land that they were told that they could measure out for themselves. No, they were not told that they technically weren't allowed to have the land, or that there was a law that they couldn't have the land they were measuring out.
When they're gonna teach us history, it should be the full thing. It shouldn't just be this one thing.
They should probably get better books that like tell what actually really happened, and tell like all the African Americans and the Native Americans and where were they at and where do they fit into that story.
I switched schools and I had to go through the Oregon Trail curriculum again, except this time it was, there were two separate parts. There was the part about the white people, and which had all of the facts, not just the like good stuff that wasn't. They put the bad stuff in too. And then we had the other part, which was called Betrayed, and it was completely from the Native Americans' point of view.
We should be talked about, like, not just forgotten and invisible.
Maybe they should not leave out any history and tell the truth about what happened in history, because I think that some kids would really like to know what actually happened, and they might not even know that some of the stuff that they told them wasn't exactly true.
People looked at me like I was crazy and like I was ruining everything for them, and so after that I just shut my mouth.
If we disagree with a teacher, they get angry and we get in trouble. But if they disagree with us, there's nothing happens.
No one in that class raised their hand and said, how many Native Americans died, or how did it affect the Native Americans?
When I learn about history, it kind of feels like sometimes, are they bending the truth or are they telling the truth?
I think the teachers try not to tell us lies, but they end up doing it most of the time. So I feel like I can't tell.
When they're telling us stuff about history, just did that really happen?
A lot of people think that kids are just stupid and they're not really human, not as educated as adults. They do actually know. They know a lot of things, and sometimes they know better than adults in certain areas. So I feel like kids should get more of a voice and should get listened to more often.